Hi, everybody. Good morning. Today, we will be reviewing Francisco Jimenez's story, Inside Out. We'll be doing a small activity with partners. We'll be completing our usual opening do now warm-up routine. We'll be completing a before reading activity where students will match up these yellow sentence strips to the appropriate quote on the chart. We'll be reviewing our academic vocabulary and reviewing the purpose for today's lesson. Today, we are going to review Inside Out by engaging in discussions and practicing analyzing. Students will have some time to review the text, as well as to answer these discussion questions, which they could do as in partners or independently. It's important for students to consider why the story is called Inside Out and how the story connects to the symbolism involving the caterpillar and the butterfly's life cycle. After the reading, there's the main activity for today, where students will be building on their responses from prior lessons into this chart, and they'll be working with a partner to encourage each other to build on and further clarify their previous responses. There's a number of closing and connecting activities. Students can share how Francisco changed over the course of the story. Students can make connections to their own personal experiences about turning points in their life that have caused them to change. They could write a letter to the author indicating the message they got from the story and how they felt about the story. And finally, there's an extend the learning activity where students could watch a video of a former ENL student describing her experiences learning English in school. And there's a link to that story right here that'll take you to this YouTube video of a Harvard graduate student explaining her experiences. Now let's jump right into today's lesson. Can somebody please read today's essential question for today? Good. How can the people around us affect our growth? Good. How do the people around us influence us and encourage us to grow and develop and change us? Can somebody please read today's lesson objectives? Good. To express ideas clearly with peers, building on the ideas of others. Good. We're going to try to encourage each other to build on their responses, to add to their explanations, to add to their analysis of the quotes and events in the story. The second one, to acquire and accurately use academic and content-specific words and phrases. Good. We're going to be making use of our academic vocabulary words from this week. Let's look at this image. What do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder? Some students may say, in the image, I see hands holding butterflies. I think that the person is letting the butterflies go free. One thing I wonder is, what does the picture represent? Now, there's a before reading activity where students will be matching these yellow sentence strips to the quotes on this chart. So this can be done in a number of ways. It can be done together as a whole class. The teacher could model it remotely, or an easy way to do this is for teachers to make use of this Google document that's found in the Video Adapted Resources folder, and students could actually complete this themselves. They could move the quote like so, okay? So they could complete it themselves using this cumulative document that they've been using for this week. Now, you can pause the video here and complete that activity with your students. Now we're going to look at this week's academic vocabulary words. We're going to revisit our academic vocabulary words. The words anxious, understand, and we added the word symbolism. So again, this chart can be found in the Video Adapted Resources folder, and students could be adding to this word concept knowledge building organizer throughout the week. Students may add to it today, answering the question, what makes Francisco anxious? So students could apply the word anxious to the story. What makes Francisco anxious in the story? When does he feel most comfortable? And when does he feel most uncomfortable? Similar with the word understand. What does Francisco understand? What doesn't Francisco understand? It could be an interesting discussion for students to share what Francisco is able to understand about how his teacher and how Curtis is treating him in the story, and what he doesn't understand about the way the others are treating him. Finally, symbolism is a literary device, figurative language that is used in the story. What symbolism do we see in the story? How is the life cycle of a butterfly symbolic? So it's very important for students to consider how the story of the caterpillar and the butterfly has a symbolic meaning in Francisco's life. It's not just something he's learning about in school, but rather it represents a turning point or a change that he's going through that parallels or compares to what the butterfly is going through. So again, today we are going to review Inside Out by engaging in discussions and practicing analyzing. Now let's take a look at our text for today. Students can have some time to review the entire text available at this link, and they could work on these discussion questions. Again, there's the question, why do you think the author named the story Inside Out? Where students could return to this video of the butterfly's metamorphosis. And this might give some indication of why the story may be called Inside Out. As we know, the metamorphosis from a caterpillar to a butterfly is an important symbol in the story. There's a second question, how are the caterpillar and Francisco's journeys similar? So how is the caterpillar representative of Francisco's experiences? And similarly, how is it an example of symbolism? How does this symbolism show the positive side of the changes Francisco goes through? So you could pause the video here and you could jump in to the text with the students. Now we're going to look at the after reading activity. And again, this can be found in the student's handout for the week, where you could scroll down and there's the after reading activity. It's very helpful to use this document so that students could recall their previous responses from earlier in the week and move those responses into this column where it says my thoughts. Once students do that, they could then work with a partner where a partner will read their responses and then challenge them to think more deeply about their response. So this could be done either digitally or on paper, or it could be done with students working in pairs, where they could either share devices or work, in a group with each other, where the students would take turns responding to each other's responses, and then students would write a my strong thoughts, where they would kind of build on their original responses, add more details, make it more convincing, make it a stronger response based on the peers' question, based on their peers' feedback, challenging them to think about their response more in depth. So, for example, Roberto's response shows that he is smart and able to respond to a challenging situation. A peer may challenge the original writer to say, how is this a challenging situation? Can you explain this more? Describe what you mean. Can you add some more details? Why was this situation challenging? Do you think it would have been challenging for you if you were in this situation? Why? So this is a way for students to work together to encourage each other to build on their original responses. And as you can see, these the highlighted in yellow quotes are the responses from earlier in the week that were also highlighted in yellow. So it'll be very easy for students to find and then to immediately begin working on this with their partners. All right. And then finally, the teacher could choose the appropriate closing and connecting activities, whether it's reflecting on the story and how Francisco changed, sharing about a personal connection to the text, writing a message to the author about the lesson they learned, and even discussing their own experiences as English language learners in America, and discussing this young woman's experiences and her journey to Harvard University. I hope you guys all enjoy today's lesson and have a great day. Enjoy the lesson. You could jump in to the before reading activity at this time. Thank you so much.